Hi, everyone. Welcome to PharmaPulse, the new podcast by Reuters Events, when we're going to be talking about all the latest trends in the industry. My name is Maria. I'm going to be your host for today, and I'm here with Philip Pisa, Digital Marketing Director, Digital Marketing and Innovation at Roche. We're going to be discussing customer engagement, but before we get into the discussion, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and a bit what you do?
Sure. I work at Roche. I lead the digital marketing innovation department for Czech Republic. So I have a department and a team, and we focused on improving the customer engagement we have, doing the marketing, handling all the digital across all our channels, and also partnering with the external ecosystem through kind of innovative or innovation projects and so on. So be it with academia or be it with other pharma companies or government and so on.
Okay, thank you, Philip. Now let's get into the heart of our conversation. I have a couple of questions for you. The first one is, what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing around customer engagement in the industry?
I think there are many challenges. I do think that one of the biggest ones is probably the ambition level we set ourselves up for. We think that we will jump to like way up here very, very fast, but these things take time, both from a perspective that ultimately there are only so much that we can control. We are engaging externally with our customers in an industry. The pharma industries, but also the external industry with hospitals and so on. I mean, they're also struggling and going through a digital transformation. So to imagine that we will somehow be able to jump all of this in a year's time it's just not realistic. And I think that's a little bit where maybe our excitement and ambition level got a little bit kind of ran away from kind of the reality of what we need to move to get there. So I think that's the main challenge we find right now with our customer engagement.
Okay, I see. Thank you so much. So going into the next question, breaking down the barriers between medical and commercial has been quite the topic during these times. How do you see the industry actioning this and putting it into play? What do you think it needs to happen?
I think we need to be very clear what we mean when we mean breaking down the barriers between commercial and medical. Both functions have their individual role and they're needed, and there is some separation required inherent. And that can be in some markets, it's due to legislation. In other places, it's also just because of the background and the capabilities that medical brings versus what commercial brings, and also what they are actually tasked to do, right? So I think it's important that we are really clear what we mean. I think from a perspective of, I still see a separation in some pieces, but in some areas we need to get a lot more closer together. So how we at Roche do it, I mean, we went through a transformation where we do not have a salesforce anymore. We have patient journey partners, and these patient journey partners are more senior, and they are out focusing and like uncovering the patient journey that happens for any patient that goes through any sort of treatment, and then identify where are the pain points, and then they go and actually partner with our customers on saying, hey, what do you think about this pain point? Can we do something to alleviate that? And either, get patients faster on treatment, get them quicker through kind of their diagnostics, get the information to the right place at the right time. And when you see that focus of looking at the patient journey, for a patient, for them, this concept that there's a commercial and a medical is just a completely artificial concept for them. I mean, they just want to get the right treatment at the right time. I think that's really where kind of the barriers start to be removed, right? When you focus on those pain points. And that's going back to the patient journey partner. I mean, that role is an integrated role at Roche. So they come with, marketing capabilities. They come with medical capabilities, with partnership capabilities. And that's kind of where, everything comes together. And when the silos are coming down, that's not to say that we don't have medical and marketing or commercial anymore. Those are still very important skills that when you go to the depth of it, that's impossible to have everything in one, that would be a superwoman or Superman, to be able to do all of those. But it's really like in some of those areas, when you focus on the patient problems, then it doesn't matter if it's medical and commercial. And I think that's where where we need to be.
Yeah, so sort of defining when the functions are going to be separated, and also in which situations they're going to be like collaborating. So just like be very specific with how they are. Yeah.
And also the depth, right? I mean, there's a depth of capabilities and expertise in medical and in commercial that you can't expect one person to be an expert in everything. So you need the experts at the table, but you need that integrator, and that's I think where where it goes down.
That's a really good way to put it. Thank you. Okay, so now moving into data. What role does data play in a personalized customer journey? And do we invest enough in the data and analytics side of the business?
I think it doesn't come as a surprise that data is, the beginning and the end, right, of any sort of personalization. You will only know what is personal to someone with data. And especially if you take data, it's kind of in the broader definition. I mean, it can be data sitting in a database, but I mean, what it sits in people's heads is also a type of data, right? So I think that's important. Also to know if something actually is personalized and brings value and serves the need from our customers, that you also need data, feedback, qualitative, quantitative data to see behavioral observation. So I think for me, it's kind of evident that it's the center of it all. I think that, and the second part of the question, what was that?
Are we investing enough in the data and analytics side of the business?
I would say yes. I think so. If you look around across our industries, I mean, we talk about analytics and data a lot. We are investing a lot in there. We as an industry, we were behind. I think we still are behind on all the measures when you compare across industries. Last time I looked, but arguably this was a couple of years ago, we were just ahead of the public sector. And the public sector is not known for being the most digitally transformed place, right? So it's important to realize that this takes time. But I do think we are investing and we are having the right focus on it. I think as a next step, though, to really get more, maybe for the dollars we invest, we need to change a little bit the mindset within ourselves as business people, that we need to understand data and we need to understand more of the technical parts that fuel and drive how our business runs. It's not, that cannot be left to just the technical experts. Like you need to understand, what is the data flow? What are the systems what are the pain points? Where does the data come from? How is it worked with? And the same way as we know our numbers, right? I mean, we all, as business people, we all know our sales numbers and our budgets and all of these things. And I think that's where we need to get to. So I'm not sure if it's around an underinvestment. I think right now, it's more around the adoption of kind of that thinking and that knowledge from people that are not technical expert.
Yeah, that's really good. Going back into personalization and this whole data conversation, I've heard that pharma companies, as we know, they do segmentation, right? To kind of like target customers.
Yeah.
There's this new concept around hyper-personalization, kind of like having the content for the person at the right time, the one person, right? Like not a segment. Is this something that you've been speaking about in Roche, or what can you tell me about this?
Yeah, it's, that's where you end up when you go down the path of segmentation, because ultimately, like you start segmenting maybe with 3 big segments, and then suddenly once you're getting comfortable with that, then you say, hey, but these are not necessarily representative for all of them, so let's chop them up more and chop them up more, and ultimately, like where you end up is this hyper personalization. We have some of that for certain parts of our segments. Usually, the more important customers that we interact with more often, and we actually have the resources to be able to offer a deeper personalization piece, specifically around setting up, web pages or areas where they have like personalized landing pages, essentially, for what their needs are. I think that realistically, this can only happen once we have automation in the content creation piece. It is the big kind of stopping block for more personalization, because in the markets we have to orchestrate. We know our customers. We have to orchestrate the information we have to the right person at the right time. But right now, still, I think there's a lot of content creation happening inside markets, and there's just not enough resources. It's not scalable. So either you can have digital content factories and you can do it centrally, but then you always run into problems with localization and turnaround time. I'm really excited about the use of generative AI in that specific place. Like, imagine if you had the information on the customer in your CRM or wherever, what have you. You had maybe even some other information of how they have engaged with your content in the past. You have some qualitative knowledge, or maybe some segmentation or kind of manual settings by the person that actually knows them, and then all the pool of like trial knowledge, all the documents that we have on our products internally within our company, and then you push a button and it kind of generates their personalized, pager, or a web page for them. Of course, I don't believe it's ever going to become totally automatic, where we just let go of the reins and robots will serve all our customers. I still firmly believe we will always have the human interface that kind of sits in the middle, also because it's humans like to interact with humans. But I think that's what excites me, and I think that's when we will really unlock the power of personalization. Is that when we can really automatize the content creation piece.
Yeah, that's really good. That's something I've been hearing as well, like kind of just this promise with Gen AI and how it's going to revolutionize how you're contacting your customers and personalizing content. So thank you. Last question for today is around omnichannel. Omnichannel seems to be quite contentious at the moment. Do you see it as more of a buzzword or an actual integral part of the business?
Going back to what I said in the beginning, I think the hype we got a little bit excited too soon about omnichannel. It's a word now that starts to enter titles, and everything is kind of omnichannel. When you scratch at the surface, I have not seen true omnichannel at scale yet, and I think that's just the reality of it. I think that in our excitement, we started calling things omnichannel that are more multi-channel. And that's kind of a little bit now what everyone is kind of realizing and what we need to take a look at again. I do see the future is omnichannel still. The future is a little bit further ahead than we would have liked, than we would have thought some years ago. But when you think about what omnichannel actually means, it is that right information, right time, right person, right, in the right channel, in the way that they need to consume it or they need to receive it. And that still holds true, even though maybe the word has started being used in places where it's not truly there yet.
Yeah, thank you very much. And before we finish off, what's one thing that you want our audience to get from this conversation, like the most important thing in customer engagement today?
I didn't mention it, maybe, but I'm a very pragmatic person. I'm a big believer in that it's much more important to do the simple, very boring things first, do them well, and then you can start kind of jumping into these omnichannel, the much more exciting and advanced pieces. And that's what my advice to everyone is that don't get lost trying to jump all the way to omnichannel. Just focus on what is really driving value today. Even if it sounds boring, it is still much more valuable because you can actually capture the value from it compared to going kind of 10 steps ahead trying to hit omnichannel right away.
Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of people out there are going to relate to that. So thank you for that. Thank you for all the insights, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, and let us know what you'd like to hear next. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn at Reuters Events Pharma or in the website at reutersevent.com/pharma. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you to all of you. See you next time.
Views expressed in this podcast are those of individuals being interviewed and do not reflect any company, parent company, or affiliates they represent. Find out more on this topic at Reuters Events Pharma USA 2024, March 26th to the 27th in Philadelphia, where we finally outpace healthcare's evolution by uniting the greatest minds from across commercial, medical affairs, patient engagement, market access, real-world evidence, and cell and gene therapy. For more information, please visit reutersevents.com/pharma-USA.